I had another idea. LED strip lights, the bottom of my rig. I tried this a while ago and it didn't work. Tried it with just some spare LEDs I had. So I saw this online. It was $10 on Amazon. Comes with the power supply and the controller. So that's going to plug into there to provide power. And 16 feet of LED tape. This is the RGB IC. So supposedly the difference between this and RGB, I believe, is that you can control the individual lights, or you have more control. So we'll get into that when I get the app set up. But let's just plug it in and see what this looks like here, because why not? Turn some lights off. And can we actually control it here? We can control brightness, it looks like. Or is that mode? Looks like that's mode. And then, I don't know what that is. Well, that makes it flash, so probably not going to be using that very much. Kind of cool, though. Okay, sweet. So, nice. All right, so the idea is that's going to go on, not the cat, but the rig. And I think what I want to do with this, so this is how the rig sits when I'm sim racing. And every time I move it over, I've got a few cables that always have to get hooked up. Power for the base shakers, power for wind simulation and rumble pedals, and then a USB cable, power for the wheel, and then a USB that goes to the PS5. So I think what I'm going to do is hide the power supply for the LED lights back in there somewhere behind there, if I can find an open outlet. And then I'll just have one more tail to do. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to mock it up underneath and figure out a good way to route the LED tape. And we'll probably get rid of him. Not get rid of him, just for this job. I'm gonna just unplug the rig, flip it over on its side, and take a look. Let's see. Am I clear there? We're gonna go like this, and then I'll move the camera. Ah! I'll be honest, flipping it was more of a pain than I expected it to be. But anyway, it's done. So let's get the lights on there, which looks like it's going to be great to stick it on there. The only issue I'm going to have is I kind of want to test this out without permanently putting it on there. So I might use E-tape or something. Yeah, let's get this off. Old piece of Velcro that I don't know what I was going to use for. We'll save it right there. So I definitely want this to come out this with these other tails here. So we'll probably figure out how to do something like that. And that already has the adhesive back. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is just tape it in, or apply it right there. And then we're going to do, oh good, it's staying for 5 seconds. We're going to do something, I think, let's bring it in a little closer here. Something like this. And then I think I'm going to just go all the way around the thing, because I don't think I can cut and rejoin this. So should I just go for it here? I feel like this might be a situation where I just tape it on, and I'll tell you what, that sounds impatient. So I'm going to get some E-tape and mock it up, and then we'll set this up and plug it in and see what it looks like. Remember, this is mock-up stage. So all I did was start here. This is going to get taped into there. But for now, we'll leave it loose. And then it goes all the way around the back, comes back up, and I had extra tape, so we went to the front, that loops back around, oops, to there. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, mock-up is done, and hopefully we'll get the effect here. The room itself is pretty dark, but for some reason I've got showing a lot of ambient light. All right, let's try it. I did already fish the line for the power supply behind the TV stand and zip tied it in with my umbilical cord here. I'm not gonna wire up the rest of the rig yet, but let's just see what this looks like. Wow, pretty cool. All right, let's see. Let's get it to whatever color that is. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. All right, you can see some of the LED lights for sure, which I don't love, but this is the mock-up, and it's like the ones that are really, let's get in a little closer. The ones that are kind of most visible are hanging off this tape. So I think once I have it actually taped down, most of that will look a little better, because some of this stuff is all just like, it's pretty loose. But so that's what it looks like underneath. But from the top here, the effect is kind of like, it's pretty great, even with the TV stand on. So next I'll have to get the app loaded, and I'll be able to mess around with the colors. But so far so good. The general idea is there, so I am going to peel that backing tape off and permanently install. So let's get started. So this we're going to want installed about there with the tail coming out. So the tape is going to start here, and I've got to get rid of this. That's the end of the tape. We're starting at the beginning. This is just a bunch of little electrical tape sections that I stuck on there to see how this would work in case I hated it or didn't like the position. So I'm going to do this a little bit at a time, I think, to keep the rest in place. Just tape. Kind of like a Band-Aid, where you pull that back. All right. And we're going to get this started. I want to keep this like directly on the bottom and in the center. The only kind of wild card I'm going to have here, I probably should, yeah, we're going to loosen that up here in a second. Let's get you in closer. The rig has this bracket here, and this will slide. So if you loosen this bracket and that bracket, you can slide the whole back half, and that's just part of the adjustability. And over time, it kind of loosens up. And when you're braking way too hard, like some people do, you end up separating it. So I'm going to get that tightened up because I would like them even. Pull that piece of tape off. And you can see there's, you know, a couple millimeters there. And I don't know, 6 or 7 here. So let's get that squared away. So after loosening those Allen bolts on both sides and squeezing the back half of this onto the front half, I've got pretty even gap there. It's almost closed all the way. So it's all tightened up now and we're good to go. Now we can continue taking the electrical tape off the mock-up setup and putting the permanent on. This adhesive does feel pretty strong. I'm just going to try to get this to land right dead center and continue on. Maybe I need to take a little more of this tape off. I'm not fighting it the whole way. Okay, that should give us a little more room. Get this out of here. It does seem like you know, you didn't get it dead center where you wanted it. You can peel it back a little. Start over. I noticed when I had the mock-up, some of the areas that were a little loose here. Some of the areas that were a little loose, where it was kind of hanging down, you could see the LED. And I really don't want that. So I want to keep this nice and tight and in the center so that when this is in its like normal position, I'm gonna do, you know, cameraman at the same time here as the guy, as the worker. I don't know what the term is. Anyway, so these are sticking pretty well, but I guess I do need to kind of go back over and really press it on there, or I think it is going to peel off. You know, the one thing I'm going to have to be careful of, which my braking has gotten better, so I think I'll be okay, but I can't really press too hard, because if I stretch that, that's going to be a real problem. Okay, so on this smaller tube, I feel like it's sticking out a little more, and on the wider, bigger diameter tube, it kind of had more surface area to grab easier. All right, so now that we're back on, this corner is going to be a little bit of a challenge, the two back corners, but we'll figure it out. And notice too, so really got to be aware of my little isolators will rotate a bit, but that's really the bottom. So I think I want to lean more toward hugging that rather than like this, just to keep those individual LEDs less visible. But here comes the tricky part. You have to make this turn here. Definitely folding in on itself a bit. Not terrible though. And we'll see how this does, but I might go back and throw E-tape around this corner. Let's get to the other corner though. Pull all this temporary E-tape off. Do you guys say E-tape or electrical tape? I used to say electrical tape. Never heard anybody call it E-tape until I got to Arizona. And then the people I've been around with ever since Call it E-tape. Now it's stuck in my brain. Okay. I'm gonna keep that aligned. Once I get to my isolators, it is a little tougher to get over the zip ties and the isolator. But I think this is gonna work. Yeah, these corners, these radiuses are kind of the trickiest. I don't think I'm doing any sort of damage or compromising. I don't love the angle though and the folding, but kind of is what it is. All right, let's get more of this off. And really this temporary electrical tape mock-up seems to make it a little easier to do the full install because it's holding it in place roughly where you want it. And we'll get that on there. Continue along. Shooting for the center. So I can peel it back kind of no problem and reapply if I need to. Now we're back on this smaller diameter tube. This support on the bottom of the Playseat Trophy. And just gonna get to the edges a little more, make sure it's adhering. Keep it in the center. Yeah, you can see all the electronics, the chips and LEDs on here, and you can see the circuits in the tape. So I'm a little concerned about this folding, but I don't think I'll short anything out. I guess we're gonna find out here very soon. Okay. Keep it in the center. I think you get the concept here. Now once I got to the bottom, I really just sort of looped it around and it's kind of a mess. So I think I'm gonna have to come up with a way to do that a little bit differently. And let's get these isolators nice and squared up. You have a pretty good look at these isolators. Really all they are is two rectangles of this rubber flooring material, kind of like a yoga mat, but thicker. It's like what you'd see in the gym. And then I layered those, used some 3M tape to hold them together, zip tied around it. And then I took a chair glider and drove that through so that it will slide around on my floor. All right, get this tape off. So I guess now is where I gotta make some decisions. Do I want this to go back on here? So I really want to try to keep the tape hidden and the LEDs hidden as much as possible. And when I had this mock-up, like this kind of stuff that was sticking out was very easy to see, and I don't want that. So I think if I come down here, I might have to do maybe something like that to get around it. So at this point where this angle turns, this is all going to be on the front, not underneath anymore. So all of this is underneath so far. And now we're going to be in the front that is facing down. This is underneath. but this is also sort of facing forward. So I think what I'm going to do, probably something like this, and then just stay to this front side, or to the, not the front side, but kind of more the inside. Let's try it out. I feel pretty good that this LED tape, you can undo it and reapply if you want to. Okay. I'm really trying to not fold, but I kind of can't help it in some of these spots. This also might be, I might want to tilt this up. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. It is kind of balancing on the back and on the wheel stand, the top of the wheel stand. So it will wobble a little, but this gives me a little better access here to the front. So I'm going to keep going with this. And keep to the, well, let's get this. Yeah, you can see it's wobbling quite a bit more. So I just need to be careful because I don't want it to topple over. Yeah. It's a bit precarious, I will admit. Let's get this to here. And then I'm going to jump to the tray here, the pedal tray. What I didn't like about my mock-up is being on this front edge and facing forward, but I'm not sure with this power supply if I can maybe ride along this edge. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I can get this tape off because I don't really want to jump over the power supply. Get that temp piece off. We'll get that temp piece off. And this last one. And then we'll come back here. And I think I'm gonna try to mimic this, jump back through, under, we'll see. I don't know, thinking out loud now. All right. The other thing to be aware of, because this is like a semi-portable and semi-adjustable rig, I don't want to, I want some strain relief wherever I might need it. Let me get closer here. Because if I ever adjust this pedal tray in the future, or if you are in a situation where you're doing this, but you know you're gonna, ooh, I don't like that. So that's where I plug in the IEC, and I don't want to go there. I don't like that at all. All right, time to undo some of this stuff. I'm gonna go over that power supply and stick to the bottom of this rig. I don't want it on the front. Yeah, so we're gonna go like this. Yeah. So where I'm jumping from the frame, the tube frame, over to the pedal tray, we're just free air, and I don't love that. But I also don't have a better solution right now, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, same with this, all of this in place. I mean, it's fairly permanent. I'm not in here messing around with adding gear too often, although it has been known to happen. Get that out of the way. And I'm not going to press it down too much just in case I need to be flexible in the future. And by flexible, I mean I change my mind and I want to do something different. Okay. Now we got the same situation here. We're going to jump back to the frame. Another fold. And now I'm really just trying to match the same position as the other side as close as I can. We're getting close now. I can take pretty much all the rest of this electrical tape off. Last one. Okay, so we're gonna come back up to here where we started. And let's get this. Oh boy. Oh boy, slight problem there. Okay. And we're gonna, I gotta secure that better too. Let's get this on here. Really trying to keep this, when it's in its regular position, all this stuff as invisible as possible. And we're gonna have a little bit more light on this side possibly. And we'll come back under like that. Something like this. Okay. This stuff is kind of flexible. I mean, it's flexible. I don't know that you're supposed to be bending it quite as much as I am, but I guess we're going to find out. Now we're going to come back. Let's get rid of this dual lock from a previous project. And can I come under? Does this tear? Yes, very easily. We're going to fish under that cable so I can more easily apply it to the flat metal base. This is, again, the bottom of the rig. It's the pedal board. And how much do we have left here? So maybe if I just do something like that. So let's go backtrack a little bit. So I can use up some more tape, get an extra 1 or 2 LEDs here. Get that all the way up there. And then curl back down. I'm going to jump over that one. Okay. Making this turn. Come under this one, over the rest, so we can keep the LEDs. Don't want to cover up the LEDs. It's hard to do this, think, and talk at the same time. And let's make that turn. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how badly I may have messed up with the bends and folding, but we're about to find out. Okay. I think it's not perfect, but, and this is all going to be underneath and kind of the most hidden, so hopefully the most diffused too. We'll just kind of check how much we've got this stuck on. This last section is sort of the most suspect. And then I want to get this on. I really want it to be right there, so all of my tails coming off are about the same length. And I think if I had something like that, or I don't love that. All right, let's get that. I'm going to add a zip tie there. I'm going to tape Add a zip tie right here. Zip tie the excess cable, and then that's going to get taped. That's got an adhesive back. I'm going to put it right there. But I need to grab zip ties. Okay. I'm going to put this one around here. A little strain relief. And I'm not going to go crazy on this. I just want to keep it from moving. And normally I would use my multi-tool to cut these off, but not today. All right, we're going to do that, and we're going to put this on the plate. That's the controller. Also on-off switch, but once you have the app, you don't really need that. So I think I'll do something like, man, just not the right length. We'll do something like that. Little baby zip ties. These little guys. And one more. Should keep that mostly hidden and out of the way. Don't want to cut any cables. And voila, that's pretty much it. So let me get this flipped back over, clean up all of this garbage, and then we'll plug it in. Take a look. I think I've gone over this a few times in previous videos, but since we've added another power supply, once my rig is pushed in place, which it is now, these are the connections for it. This is going to the PS5. That's the Fanatec rig. And I've got power cord that goes to the Fanatec wheelbase and system. Then I've got a DC power supply for the base shakers. And if you're like, what is all this crap this guy's talking about? These are all different mods I've done to this rig. That's the LED light power, obviously. This is power for fans, wind simulation fans, and the rumble pedals. And then lastly, that's a USB hub underneath the rig you saw earlier. And that's going to the Simhub PC. And that is, now we're race ready for the driving rig. Okay, after downloading the Govee app and changing the colors in the app, what I'm going for here, I'll turn on the rest of the rig here in a second, but the TV stand is just purple. I can change this, but these LEDs are not great. These seem to be better. And what I'm going for is blue on the left and red on the right to match the Gran Turismo theme, which you can kind of see here on my display unit, if I can get it to focus at all. All right. And then we'll get it on the TV for the full effect, but looks pretty great. So from this angle, you can see some of those LEDs on the back. So I may try to adjust that, or I might not worry about it. Looks like I could go a little bit lower. Oops. But not much, especially with the isolator in the way. So we might just live with that. But overall, it looks really great. From here, it's you can't really see any of the individual LEDs. And it's kind of a cool effect. Let's get the TV on for the full effect here. Kind of the full effect here.